let me back up. Let me push this back a little. Okay. Yeah, that's one thing I have to admit. We have to get good at the aesthetics. I'll start off by acknowledging that long form content starting out on YouTube is definitely a thing that needs to be prioritized way more. Way more. My my content creation has really been regulated to Instagram mainly over the past 2 years, and I am experiencing the limitations of that. So we will just keep that in mind as we continue to make headway in this story. 2026. 2026, we are here. It's January 1st, 2026. Last year was incredibly revelatory, profound, transformative. It's probably the most transformative year, mentally, spiritually, maybe physically, probably not. I think I've made some gains in the past year, but I think mentally and spiritually, the amount of growth that occurred last year is incredibly significant relative to my physical growth. What are the big takeaways? What are we focusing on in 2026? The one thing that's been on my mind, so I'm working on this project called the Natty King, and the whole idea is to crown the next sports icon to come out of bodybuilding. And the stakes are that this sports icon must be a natural athlete for the sake of the sport, for the sake of the fitness industry, and just, in my personal opinion, for the sake of the world. That's the narrative for this story. The Natty King must be a natural athlete coming out of the sport of bodybuilding. So we have that idea, an idea that I'm incredibly passionate about, and I go to sleep thinking about it, I wake up thinking about it, and the only questions, there's a lot of questions to ask, but the questions that I ask myself are, how do we best and most effectively tell this story? I'm ambitious. I aim to be the Natty King, the next great sports icon to come out of bodybuilding. I want to use my career as a reference point for any other natural athlete in the sport of bodybuilding or beyond. I want them to think of what they could do with their own natural potential, not needing the use of augmentations, performance enhancing drugs, and acknowledging the fact that they are just great and have the opportunity to pursue excellence without external sources. I want to do that. I am ambitious. I want to be the greatest natural bodybuilder of all time. I also want to be the greatest storyteller of all time. I also want to be a really great father to my son. I would say that these three priorities are the only priorities in my life. Greatest of all time, bodybuilding, storytelling, and I don't think you can be the greatest father of all time. Greatest father to my son of all time. Greatest father to my son of all time. And I'm always thinking of opportunities where I could do a better job. in all of these departments. I'm actually writing a book to my son. I'm figuring out, like I said, the best way to effectively tell this story of the Natty King. In my mind, it plays out like an anime. And I like to reverse engineer. So I jumped 20 years into the future, and we've already crowned the first Natty King. Maybe we've crowned several of them. What does the world look like under this new figurehead, this new reference point, this new example of what a true leader should look like in this world? I see a greater prioritization of health and wellness and longevity. And I also see more incentives on virtues. When I think of the current crop of influencers, role models, if you can even call them that, the types of individuals that are currently getting the most amount of attention on social media platforms, from my perspective, are not really pushing out the most positive, the most unifying, the most wholesome, and the most uplifting content. Instead, what I see getting reworked and reposted and shared and viral is controversy, negativity, salaciousness, sexuality, and overall, there's this term that gets thrown around called brain rot. Brain rot. How much content is just devoted to that category of brain rot? I think there's an appeal to brain rot because it doesn't require an audience member to fully engage and utilize their brain. When I think about it like this, humans, it's like we all have to go to work, we have to pay our bills. We don't want to go to work, we go to work, we're doing the thing, we're slogging along, we're putting our time in, then we get out of work and we're tired and we're feeling exhausted or we want to do something that doesn't feel taxing, that doesn't require us to focus or pay attention. And that's where this content brain rot comes into play. We just spent the past 8 hours doing a thing that we don't want to do, requiring our bodies or our minds or both, our attention. And then the minute that we get to break away and disconnect, that's where brain rot comes in. And we do have that opportunity to detach and turn the brain off and doom scroll and just watch hours of content that really don't move the needle so far as an individual's progression or growth in any way, shape, or form. My story, the story of the Natty King, is intended to combat brain rot. The story of the Natty King is intended to engage and immerse audiences and people who are experiencing the story in a world that encourages interaction. Okay, so let's take a step back. The Natty King is about natural bodybuilders. Natural bodybuilders. Why is it about natural bodybuilders? Because I'm a natural bodybuilder and I love natural bodybuilding. And I'm also a storyteller and I love storytelling. And I'm also a father. And I love the opportunity to be a good father to my son. And so I would like to fuse all of my interests into one thing. And that one thing is the Natty King. To me, what is the greatest story of all time? It is the story of effort. It is the story of grand scale achievements. It is the hero's journey with an emphasis on the friends that we made along the way. Lord of the Rings is a really great story. Great story. Great story. Fate of the world, the One Ring, the Fellowship of the Ring, the brotherhood and camaraderie of Frodo and Sam, Legolas and Gimli, Merry and Pippin, the wise wizard, Gandalf, mentoring everyone and making sure they stay and making sure that everyone stays on the chosen path. It's a great story. It's got kings in there, brothers, fathers, not so much sons. Something to keep in mind. So if I wanted to emulate a story of such quality, like Lord of the Rings, and present that in a different narrative structure, the Natty King, what would that look like? Well, it would consist of kings, brothers, and fathers. And what roles would they play in this shared universe where the ultimate goal is achieving world peace? What are the stakes? What are the obstacles? What are the conflicts? Who's the main bad guy? If I had to put a name to it, it's unconscious. What's happening to humanity is an unconscious thing where we have this latent desire to be lulled to sleep and to not wake up, to watch content that keeps us sedated, and to essentially just stroll along, living out our lives, not fully cognizant of the decisions and the choices that we have access to. Consumerism. That is the thing. That is just diminishing our own potential. Consumerism. Distractions and brain rot. How is the Natty King storyline meant to uplift all of humanity out of this dive that we're in? Community, identity. It's more than that, though. It's an idea. It is a proposition that heroes don't have to be fictional. I believe that if there were to be a hero in this world, in our reality, there is no better place to start than in the realm of sports and athletics. I can't think of a better archetype for a hero / role model than sports and athletics. We have examples, the best examples that we can point to, which are not the paragons by any means at all. We've got Michael Jordan, incredibly focused, incredibly ambitious, and did everything in his power to become the greatest of all time within his sport of basketball. We've got Tom Brady, greatest football player of all time. We've got Lionel Messi, prodigy, talent, greatest soccer player of all time. Then we also have Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, we have Muhammad Ali, greatest boxer of all time. Who else do we have? John Jones, regarded as the greatest MMA fighter of all time. So what about the athlete who... Let's not forget Ronnie Coleman, who's the greatest bodybuilder of all time. I think it's interesting that Ronnie Coleman, out of all of these GOAT athletes, is the only athlete who we all have firm knowledge that he was taking performance-enhancing drugs while achieving his GOAT status. There's no asterisk next to Ronnie Coleman for taking steroids and still becoming the greatest of all time. However, if we were to learn that Michael Jordan or Tom Brady or Muhammad Ali, if it were to become exposed that these athletes took steroids in their respective fields, it's like we don't have to say Michael Jordan is the greatest natural basketball player of all time, or Muhammad Ali is the greatest natural boxer of all time. But if you want to be the greatest natural bodybuilder of all time, you have to say that. That's how normalized steroids are in the sport of bodybuilding, which is a huge shame. And at the same time, I completely understand how it worked out that way. What am I trying to say? No bad news? Definitely no bad news. We just have a lot of work to do. The Natty King is about the pursuit of the best version of yourself, peaking yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually simultaneously. I don't know if there's another athlete in this sport who truly wants to become this figure. I don't know if anyone else understands what this figure is supposed to do, what it's supposed to mean to the rest of the world. We need more heroes. We need a hero. We need a hero. I can't think of a single hero alive right now that our children can look up to, actually. Who's not just a high performer in his respective field or passion or sport, but also speaks to the people, uses his voice and his platform, and is committed to improving the quality of lives for everyone else around him. I can't think of a person who's doing that. And even if there is, we still need more. We need as many as we can get. And that's what the Natty King universe, that's what this franchise is intended to do. We are casting 30 natural bodybuilders to pursue this title and to be recognized as potential icons within the sport of bodybuilding. The story has to be finished. The Natty King must be crowned. And out of these 30 athletes, one must rise up and be recognized as the de facto face and figure of this movement being natural human potential, leading the human race to the next pinnacle of our own capacity. That's the idea, at least. Last year I spent casting a total of 10 athletes. Let's see if I can name them. We got Zach Moore, type 1 diabetic, is incredibly passionate about his cause, which is spreading awareness of his condition and showing that he can still achieve greatness despite his limitations. And from his perspective, they're not limitations. He also is a camp counselor at a type 1 diabetic camp where he gets to interact with the kids and be a shining role model for them. So he's he's actually a prime candidate for the Natty King. Then we've got Josh Manoe. Josh Manoe. Yeah. He's one of the first natural athletes I ever discovered. That was a couple of years ago. Josh and I have since grown a lot closer in the past year. I started attending church with him, and he brought me to Christ. He facilitated my baptism, and we have become brothers in Christ. And I'm very excited to see how he continues to grow. Josh, yeah. All right, who else do we got? We have, let's see, Gary Amlinger. He's over in, I want to say, Thailand. He is a natural bodybuilding pro, has been in the game for a very long time, incredibly dense muscle, is just an elite level natural bodybuilder, has been on the world stage and has competed against some of the best, if not the best, athletes in this sport. And he hangs in there with them. I think he is just like the purest example of what it means to be an elite level natural bodybuilder. And just his presence in this project adds so much legitimacy and value to me. Just to have his awareness and to have his level of enthusiasm on this cannot be understated. Okay, so we got Zach Moore, we got Josh Manoe, we got Gary Amlinger. Now we have the Professor, another great athlete, mass monster. Someone said that Oscar, aka the Professor, has a myostatin deficiency, hence the size of his muscles. He's one individual where I can understand why a person would think that this guy is a quote unquote fake natty, just because he's so dense and his muscle bellies are just so profound. And if you're not fully a student of this game and have an awareness as to the true potential of a natural athlete in this sport, yeah, if you're just like a casual, you would naturally think that this guy is on steroids. And I get that. Doesn't mean that there aren't true genetic phenoms out there. And that's another part of this project, is to properly illustrate that there are special people out there, not even just in the realm of bodybuilding, but like if you have a talent or a skill or a genetic disposition, to growth or some other gift that God gave you, that's a great opportunity to foster it, cultivate it, and build upon it in the same way that the Professor did. All right, so who else do we got? We got Samuel Bordeaux. I like to refer to him as the student. He is our youngest athlete to date, and he's just got a heart of gold and a will of fire. And he is just incredibly hungry and driven to pursuing the best version of himself. He is, I would say, as committed to I would say, as committed to his own personal development as growth as I am myself. So Sam is dope, and I'm really happy to have him on the team. Then we've got Matt Butali. Matt Butali, Schwarzenegger is how he goes on social media platforms. IFBB Pro, one of the best in the game. Incredibly passionate, work ethic is out of this world. Consistency, determination, discipline. He embodies the core values of what it means to be the Natty King, and he does it without a single complaint. So, yeah, Matt Batali's dope. Matt Batali's dope. Then we got Yoshi. We got Yoshi. What to say about Yoshi? I'm gonna say rival. I'm going to say rivaling Matt Butali because they've met on stage a couple times. Once, if not twice already, they've met on stage. He's also an IFBB pro, and he's a very ambitious person. He wants to be a great poser within the realm of bodybuilding, and I believe he will get there. I believe that his potential to go down in history as one of the greatest posers to have ever graced the stage in the realm of bodybuilding is definitely there, and I aim to learn from him, be inspired by him, and also compete against him for that title of posing master. And I'm really excited to just grow with him and collaborate with him. I think he's got an incredibly creative mind, not only in relation to posing, but also just presentation, movement, and storytelling. He's got a lot of potential. Yoshi's a really cool dude. Okay, so we're at 7. Who else is on the team? This is so fun. It's always hard because we're gonna get to 30 eventually, but let's see. We got Retro Lord. Retro Lord, man, Retro Lord is a rare find. He is a super unique, super cool, super genuine, and just a good-natured person who's just incredibly competitive, incredibly ambitious, and I love him. I love Retro Lord. I think Retro Lord is a super cool guy, and man, also a great poser. He has his own posing style, which I am incredibly inspired by, and he's a storyteller, so I vibe with him immediately. He's got so many different backstories and origins, and he goes by Retro Lord, aka Vadris the Pale, and he's doing a lot. He's doing a lot with his brand, and try to finish this because it got cut off due to the fact that it got too hot. So I'm going to try to get through this really quickly. All right, so we have Retro Lord, super dope person. Really believe sky's the limit so far as his bodybuilding career, his storytelling, and he's a huge WWE enthusiast, so I definitely vibe with him. Then we have Demain Dawson, OCB champion. Phenomenal physique. Just a phenomenal physique. Probably, in my humble opinion, one of the best natural physiques in the world. And his legitimacy to this project is huge. And I just can't wait to compete against him. I ask myself, what do I have to do in order to bring my physique up to his standard and create a compelling rivalry, not just against him, but against every other athlete on this team. I have to rise to their levels. So I'm really happy to have Demain on the team. And then lastly, we have me, Shaun Fury, the originator of this whole storyline, the guy with the idea to tell the greatest sports story in the history of bodybuilding and Hollywood. I want to tell a story about world peace and have it centered around natural bodybuilders, which sounds crazy, but crazier stories have existed. And I don't know, if it doesn't excite me, then I don't want to do it. And I've thought about it. I have thought about it. I've thought about the different angles. I've taken a look at, there was a time when Vince McMahon, the creator of WWE, or at least the way that we know it, he was actually obsessed with putting on a bodybuilding show. He called it the WBF. And he brought on these athletes, these enhanced athletes, and he niched them out. He, did stories. He turned one into a mercenary. He turned another into a ninja. He turned one into an executioner. And they had all these nicknames and costumes and stuff like that, which isn't far off from what I was thinking when I first came up with this whole Natty King project. I watched a 20-minute YouTube video about Vince McMahon's execution, and it just further cemented in my mind that I want to do a story about world peace. And as crazy as it is, I want to center this movement around community unification and working together. I want to center these themes around the sport of natural bodybuilder. I want to center these themes around the sport of natural bodybuilding. And it is just my truest belief that if we can properly display these natural athletes rising to the occasion of this moment in time, and leading a movement of natural human potential to surpass the enhanced side of the sport, which has been reigning supreme for the past several decades, this movement has the potential to impact the world. And I truly believe that. And this is what gets me out of the bed every day. It's not about money. It's not about fame or recognition. It's about the opportunity to make an impact on a global scale. And that's why I must see to getting the Natty King crowned. And I'm so grateful for everyone who has helped me up until now. 2026, we'll be casting another 10 athletes. And then in 2027, the final 10. How does this story end? I just have one vision in mind, and that's the Natty King getting crowned. Everything else is fluctuating. But as long as we stay focused on that one goal, the next sports icon coming out of bodybuilding, and making sure that it's a natural athlete, that's the vision. So yeah, 2026 is here. We start casting again. And we keep training. We keep working towards this vision. And we keep growing. Mind, body, and spirit. Let's do it.